wanted to start by saying that a few things I actually dislike, phobias you might call them, small spaces, anchovies, and public speaking. So the last one is something that, because of my job, I have to do it. I take responsibility as part of the role, but any opportunity I get to avoid doing it, I take. That being said, when I got the invitation to be here today, I jumped at the chance, and I'm thrilled to be here to represent TerraQuest and also advocate for SIG. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is the journey that we've taken with SIG in terms of where Solutions have come from. Solutions is my team, and also how we're transforming the business and moving it forwards. Okay. So I'm going to start by saying who. Who are TerraQuest? I don't know if a lot of you have heard of TerraQuest, but TerraQuest are a technology and data business at its core. Started in what's called land referencing, supporting a process called compulsory purchase order. Compulsory purchase order, or CPO, is essentially when government want to purchase land, buy land, and they want to implement infrastructure projects such as build roads, schools, airports, and land referencing is a service that supports that. So land referencing is essentially understanding and compiling information about who has ownership and interest in that land to be built upon. We've always been able to leverage building of solutions off the back of land referencing. We've got provenance in doing that, and through that, my team has grown. So land referencing, moving to building technology, software services and products. And we've got a mission currently to transform and shape the future of land and planning technology. In 2015, we secured the Planning Portal. Planning Portal is the online platform for online planning submissions. So if you were going to submit a planning application to build an extension or an estate in England and Wales, you would be using our technology, Planning Portal. And that was really the platform and springboard within our business to transform. We secured the Planning Portal in 2015, re-platformed it with a partner in 2016, and then in, let's say, late 2019, decided to go again. And I had a conversation with my boss, Jeff Keel, over there, and said, Jeff, if we were going to re-platform, I think we need to reimagine how we looked at technology, how we looked at software. And historically, when we've built products and services, we've gone through your conventional V model. So waterfall, requirements up front, into design, development, and then quality assurance to deployment. If we were going to re-platform the service, I wanted us to reimagine how we design software with a concept of reusability underpinning all of that. So when I'm talking about reusability, I mean that we wanted to not just build something that was a one-shot only implementation. It was something that we could effectively toolkit our products and services off the back of. So a combination of these services built products. So when we're talking about the transformation, waterfall to agile, what does that actually mean? That means building a team. That means building division. That means trying to evolve your processes to enable that. And to give you some kind of illustration of that, we had to recruit. We had to grow the team. When I joined the business in 2015, my team was about 5 people, and my team currently is about 95 people. So a lot of that change happened during COVID as well. So we'd embarked on the journey to change how we did things. We wanted to, reimagine technology, software, all of these things, and then COVID hit. But we'd already, let's say, had jumped out of the plane. So we couldn't really back down from that. We just had to go with it. Now, this is just an illustration of the scale of change, the rate of change. And within that, we built a architecture team, a QA team. We also built a product management team. We have a DevOps team. And we've also been able to look at how we, let's say, design software. So we've got a UX and design team, in effect, and an R&D team. So there's a lot that's gone into that. But I just wanted to give you this illustration to show you that kind of change, especially between 2020 and 22, with everything that went on in the world. You can imagine the situation we were in. So as part of our transformation, I've talked about the adoption of microservice architecture and reusability. So we wanted to really focus on how we architected our software, how we built that software. We replatformed in 2016. A lot of changes in technology, as we know. So 2016 to 2019, 2020, what else was out there? What could we use in terms of when we're trying to replatform a service or a solution? You know, infrastructure, moving to the cloud, understanding the old model on-prem, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, understanding that transition from AWS or Azure. We happen to be a Microsoft technology house, so Azure is our chosen platform. And then again, when you're growing at that rate and you're recruiting at the rate that we did, we had people in the team who were based in Bulgaria, Ukraine, Scotland, Wales, London. We're based in Birmingham. So we're recruiting at an alarming rate. And how do you control all of that? How do you make sure everybody is working to the same principles on the same page? So this coding standards and principles component was fundamental to making sure when we onboarded people, we weren't able to bring them into an office, shadow, as you would have conventionally done. But also, everybody who came into the business from an onboarding perspective understood what was expected from the senior members of the team, how we did things, and it made the rigor on bringing people into the business that much more robust. Okay. So in the midst of the transformation, if you say it started 2019 in earnest, COVID hits, we're trying to do a lot of things at the same time, we start attracting more and more interest, and we get acquired by our a private equity firm. I always get them confused. In November 2020. And I guess they knew there was a lot of potential in TerraQuest. They bought us, of course. But I'm explaining to them that we're trying to affect more than just deliver a new platform or a new service. We're trying to change the business. And in doing all of that, there are some inherent challenges, and you sometimes get behind. Right? We embark with best intentions, but it can be a little bit behind schedule because you're bringing people in, you don't get the right people in. You say it's going to be March, it happens to be May. Problems, because what have we bought? You go through a tech DD, it's really positive, but then you inherit that, and right. So let's kick the tires on it. Let's see what we really have. And it's at this point we engaged with SIG. And we wanted the engagement. We welcome the engagement because it's almost like an audit. And I don't even think accountants enjoy the auditors when they come to visit. But nevertheless, we felt as though we should welcome SIG into the business because it would benchmark where we were at. We were going from 0 to 100. We were making decisions, on the fly, best intentions, but really an independent audit of what we were doing would probably be a good thing for us at that point in time. And we held ourselves to high standards because we almost had transparency in the team because of there wasn't anywhere to hide. If you're bringing a lot of people into a building in terms of employment, that's one thing because you can see how they work, you can see their habits. But if you're recruiting remotely, you don't really have that equity to build a relationship to understand their habits and so on and so forth. So all you're really measuring them against is what kind of participation do they have in the ceremonies, and also what their output is in terms of sprint delivery. Nevertheless, I welcomed it, and I encouraged my team to get on board with SIG and bring and give them everything they asked for. And I know Jeff was particularly supportive as well, but we wanted it to cover the methodology because we changed from waterfall to agile, quality assurance because you can't really call yourself an agile business if you're not able to design, develop, test, and also deploy in a sprint, right? Some people say, okay, we're going to develop within a 2-week window, but there's nothing to show for it at the end of the 2 weeks. We wanted to be at a point by where when we had a fortnightly sprint, everything went through, we were able to build those automated testing framework to enable that, and also the DevOps in place to deploy. But we thought we were doing a decent job. I felt we were doing a decent job, making really, really good progress. I had the support from the board. I wasn't on the board at the time. But the engagement with SIG covered methodology, quality assurance, architecture, code quality, and maintainability, because it was important that we didn't just develop for today. We were trying to develop something for the longer term. So maintainability was a really, really important and powerful component to the assessment. So what did we get for our engagement, and how did we benefit from that? And single source of truth, and I think that was what was missing. It was a missing ingredient in terms of that transformation. We had a point of reference for everybody to look at where we were at from a maintainability point of view, but also you had a kind of self-policing component that brought into the mindset of the group. We were able to get that level of detailed analysis of each component, but there were other tools that the QA team used, such as SonarQube, but we wanted to just get another level of granularity to that engagement and get the consultancy as well, because we'd welcome all of the advice that we could get. And we realized that, although we felt we were doing things in the right way, there was still a way to go, and we were able to leverage the platform, but also get the benefit of Michael or Renee's input along the way. Talking about the component dependency, when we built that architecture team and we had a design team and we've got product owners, sometimes you don't always get the right levels of communication taking place, even though we have the best intention to communicate and something happens in a meeting, that doesn't always make it all the way through. So having that component dependency and a view of entanglement along the way, that was vital for us. Security. Again, we touched on open source. We like any other software business, we use open source packages, but we wanted to also look at that from the point of view of, are we assessing the risks? Are we looking deliberately at the vulnerabilities that we're introducing to our code base? And are we updating those packages in the right time? So we were able to dedicate resources based on what the tool is telling us, what SIG is telling us, to make sure we are anticipating, not reacting to threats and vulnerabilities. How did it change our process and our methodology? So we have program increment planning sessions where we try to get everybody in the team, this is post-COVID and pre-COVID, where everybody in the team is contributing to a session to try and estimate blocks of work. And when we do that, we also triage technical debt. And one of the biggest things that I can say about the engagement and the platform itself is that we never really had that kind of focus on technical debt until we introduced the tool. It's become part of what we do. And even if we accrue that technical debt, we know we have to pay it back. If it's not the upcoming sprint, it will be a sprint thereafter. But we know, and we've got a record of that, and the product owners are able to write user stories and test scenarios to make sure that it's going to be addressed. So it doesn't just fall into a black hole, never gets addressed. That has, again, fundamentally changed the way we think about risk in our business. Testing and that coverage, again, we combine that with other tools to make sure that the QA team were able to triage and also manage their resources around testing, because we are testing new features. New features always get the profile, they always get that kind of focus almost, but it's making sure that you've got that split to say, right, you can focus on the newer stuff. We still need to assign resources that have to triage that technical debt, and is that getting paid back? We've also got that recommendation piece. So tying the internal processes and discussions and communications and ways of working together, we always had the outlet of being able to engage with the SIG team, to say what's the tool telling us? What do we need to do? So that was what completed the loop. We try to do the best that we can, and we continue to evolve and I guess learn. But we're always open to that feedback. What can we be doing better? And I think that continual improvement element is again really, really profound for us. Culture. So SIG, the tool itself, there was. I'm not going to exaggerate and say everybody welcomed the tool, because it's almost like a self-policing component to what we're doing, and it's asking developers to hold each other accountable, and there isn't anywhere to, let's say, hide. So that took some time to get the message filtered down to the entire group. You might have had myself and the senior managers in the team saying this is what we need to do, but did it filter all the way down to the engineers on the ground? It took some time, and we're there now. So it's log on in the morning, and they're going in and they're having a look and having a conversation, whether it's part of a stand-up, whether it's part of a retrospective, or any kind of planning forum. It's in use, right? And that is the biggest compliment I can give to SIG and the tool itself. That from a point of resistance to wholehearted acceptance, that's a massive change, and it's changed the culture of the business irrevocably, if I can pronounce that correctly. Right, again, I'm talking about technical debt. Culture, we focus on it. I sound like a broken record, I do realise that, but not enough businesses are able to pay down that debt that they accrue. It's part of what we do. It's embedded in what we do. And, I can talk to Jeff, I can talk to other executives in the business and say, I know we want to focus on something new. I understand the time pressure. I understand the revenue associated with a new feature or a new release, but I feel as though we are going to be storing up problems for the longer term if we don't do this. So again, in our business, from a board management reporting perspective, we monitor that. And then the architecture team, it's their go-to. When they're trying to understand how front end and back end are going to work together, user stories, what's it look like post in terms of that entanglement? When we're trying to take a bird's eye view of things, how is it going to affect one area? What's the dependency like from a component point of view? And are we creating problems? Are we creating spaghetti code or spaghetti framework within that? Again, fundamental to how we talk, how we think about things. So what did it enable? So we transformed the business. We moved from 20 people to 95 people. We implemented the changes around processes and people, the SIG tool, the engagement, and it was all with the auspices of being able to re-platform the planning portal. And we went live with the planning portal last January, and it was a success. I don't like to brag about these things, but it was a success. And just to give you some context around the statistics for the portal, we've got 740,000 applications a year. We process £1 million a day in terms of application numbers, and we get 3 million views a month. Okay. Now, from a standing start, we've been able to using the keychain platform, so component-wise, we've built a new planning portal. Okay. Just speak to some of the users we got there from general public sector and professionals. It's in use across the entire country. Again, we were able to complete the microservice architecture, and the philosophy of reusability is, again, at the forefront of our minds. In anything we do, anything we build moving forward, it has to be something we don't want to have a conversation around, oh, that's no longer in use, or that's throwaway code. It has to have a level of reusability. And then how we're taking it forward. So in terms of how we're taking it forward, we launched again another version of the planning portal in Northern Ireland. So all the learnings that we gleaned from the first time round, we were able concurrently to launch another version of the planning portal in Northern Ireland. That went live in December last year. Not as many applications, but still as important to that country. Well received. We are now in the process of getting our 2VIT certification off the back of the engagement. So talking about the rating, I think we're currently maybe just 3.5. So we're going to go through that certification, and we're aiming for a 4. We will be aiming for a 4. So hopefully if I'm invited back after today, I'll have better news in that regard. Assurance. So we're also acquiring additional modules, or we're trying to implement additional modules with Sigrid. Security and reliability. Security is fundamental, but I think we can have a sharper focus on that. So we've got engagements with Michael and team to move that forward. And then reliability, again, it's just a natural progression in terms of it's embedded into our culture. What can we do more? How can we improve? And then finally, okay, we've got England, Wales, Northern Ireland. It's unlikely that Scotland will come and play with us. So we've started to go further afield, and we've started looking at how we can expand our company footprint. North America, we're engaging in Canada. You might have seen some things on social media, those who know about TerraQuest. We're making inroads in India and also spreading out our footprint in wider in Europe. So yeah, I'd just like to say we've been on a tremendous journey. It's been fraught, it's been challenging at times, but it's been extremely rewarding. And the engagement with SIG is something that we're all appreciative of, and they've helped shape what the business is today. And I would just encourage everybody to do the same, have a conversation. They're great partners. Thank you.
Woo, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please stay on stage for a second, because I know you love to go off stage, I think. But you're far too modest. I think you gave a great presentation, and it was a very nice story to hear about the whole journey, all the great accomplishments that you had with the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the audience in Amsterdam? No, people that are shy, they don't dare, I think.
Just like me.
There I see a question. Hold on.
First, thanks a lot for the great presentation and lots of compliments for SIG. And I really enjoyed the story. I was wondering in particular about this resistance that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So the tool tells people what to do, right? How did you address that?
Well, I think because of the way in which we grew and the business grew, there was a resistance, but it was almost an acceptance because we had such transparency across the team that was necessary. So it was just another step to that transparency. If there is something that we want to address, we need to know about it. You know, we're not all in the same room to have a conversation about it. Therefore, if somebody can notice something that maybe they're not in that stand-up, it's like, okay, now I can see it from that point of view, and let's see it, let's give it a go. And then once you start to get those behaviours embedded into the team, it just becomes part of the process. And then new people join the business because people come, some people go. When you bring new people in, it's just part of the daily routine.
Right. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you. Cheers.